The public relations proposal, which is the final big project for this class, is going to take you some time to do. It's also a little bit more complicated. So I thought I'll make a little video to help you understand what this project is all about. So you want to start working on this project today, and you want to work on it till almost the end of the semester. It is going to take you time, and it's going to definitely need you to be creative. So put on that PR hat, do the research, spend time on it, and in the end, you will have a great project. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's look at the document that I have shared with you together, and hopefully it'll clarify a few things for you as you read that proposal and what it expects from you. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so let's talk about this particular public relations campaign proposal. Let's go over the document that I've sent you, that you have access to. And I thought maybe if we spend some time on it, it might just help you understand it a little bit better. So we are looking at this particular campaign from a public relations perspective. So I do not want recommendations that are focused on advertising or marketing or business. We're really focused on it in terms of PR. So look at it from a communications standpoint. This is a long proposal, up to 15 pages long. It can be more if you want to write more, but Times New Roman, font size 12, single space. This is a formal document. So be careful of every word that you put on this document. You should have all these different sections that you see here: cover page, table of contents, background, context, research and analysis, SWOT, campaign goal, communication plan with 2 strategies and 3 tactics per strategy, which makes it a total of 6 tactics, evaluation, and then all those other documents that have helped you get there, right? That goes in the appendix section. Know that every section is important, but I would spend a lot more time on research, analysis, and SWOT. I would definitely spend time on the communication plan with the tactics that you need to put together. It is time consuming. So please plan better, plan your time, and don't leave anything for the last minute. The research really needs to get done quickly. So what I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about your client that you have. Now, know that this is hypothetical, so you can play around a little bit, but in general, this is what you have. So, there is this restaurant, and it's called Healthy Bite, and it's all about healthy food. And it's been around a little while, and it has one location, and that's in Santa Monica. A hustle and bustle of Santa Monica, it's got lots of companies, it's got tourists who come. So, getting people into the restaurant shouldn't be a problem. However, they do have a problem. But let's talk a little bit about what they offer. So think about a True Foods or, a veggie grill or, a health food restaurant, Flower Child, and they have all this real great like salads and grain bowls and smoothies and just healthy food. Some of it is vegetarian, some of it is vegan, some of it is just a healthy food in general, organic, but sustainably raised meat, things like that. So it's one of those kinds of restaurants that caters to folks who care about what they put into their bodies, and making that health food more accessible to the rest of the world, rest of the people who come to Santa Monica, right? The idea is to live this healthy lifestyle, and everything that they do, and everything that they have in their restaurant kind of really just focuses on that, right? But so do so many other restaurants nowadays, right? So there is competition, and obviously they're dealing with that competition because it's taking away, their customers. So they definitely have competition. But in terms of like just the setup of HealthBite, their website is bare minimum. There's not that much information on it. So that's definitely an issue. They do have social media accounts, but they're not very active and they're not very consistent in the way they share information. And they have a really small group of followers, so that doesn't help. And then most of the work that they're doing is very traditional in terms of marketing stuff. So now we're thinking, okay, from a PR perspective, how can we help? How can we help this restaurant? So we know what their campaign goal is, and obviously the campaign goal always is the business goal. But we need to look at it from a PR perspective. So their campaign goal here is, well, we're seeing a decrease in foot traffic. We have fewer people are coming to our restaurant, and we are offering such a great menu, and yet fewer people are coming to our restaurant. And we have $25,000. How do we make this happen? Like, how do we get more people to come to our restaurant? How do we get more repeat customers? Things like that. Okay, so that's your PR case study. I just wanted to kind of contextualize it for you, and that's what you're working on. So let's do a deeper dive. So for you to write a report, and that talks about the industry in which HealthyBite operates, and then figuring out how to help this particular restaurant, you need to look at different sections. So first section is the background research and SWOT section. You're going to have to spend a lot more time on it. Get a feel for this organization, right? Our fake organization, HealthyBite or HealthBite, right? Figure out what does that market look like today? What does the restaurant market look like today? How is that in LA, in Santa Monica compared to everywhere else? Within that restaurant space, how many restaurants are more health focused? And what is the clientele like for those restaurants? And then dig deeper, right? So you can go to the library. There is a librarian in the library. You can ask some questions to them to figure out, well, how do I go about looking for this information? They might tell you, go to, the research databases online and look up reports like the Mintel or Statista. I mean, we have a lot of access to this information. Being a part of the Cal State system, the university pays a lot of money for us to access this data for free. And that's what you should try to do. So really get into it and analyze the situation. Then you can also do primary research, right? And secondary research. The secondary research is all the statistics and the databases, and go into newspaper database. You can find a lot of information. That's all secondary. Primary research basically involves you to actually talk to people, to do a survey, things that you need to actually just kind of explore by yourself. So you're not finding the research from research databases, but you're actually creating ways to collect the data and analyze the data yourself, and then use that information as insight to work on your own strategies, right? So that's the fascinating part. You should do both. You should definitely do secondary, right? You have to use secondary. You need that industry information. But talk to a restaurant, like call them and ask them, okay, what are the things that you guys do to build a business up like this, to spread the word and tell people about your new menu options. Like, what are the things that you do? How do you retain customers? And the more you talk to people, the more information you get, right? And think about not just talking to people like restaurants in general, but try and see if you can talk to a couple restaurants that focus on health food, right? That would be amazing, because that's somewhat your competition, right? And yet this is just a fake project and you're learning, and so most people are most willing to like have that conversation with you. So collect all that information and put them in what we call a research memo, right? A document where you're just throwing in information with the sources, right? And so you can always go back to it as when you're writing your report. Then when you're doing this research, I thought that I would give you some ideas of which angle to take this information, right? To look at the background, look at the audiences. Who do these people like these health restaurants, like who's their audience? Who do they connect with? Who comes to their restaurants? Who cares about it? Who spends the money? And understand the situation. All right. So what makes people come to that restaurant? How do we increase the foot traffic, right? What are the communication focused ways that you can do that? And what are the problems that we are facing while doing that, right? So it's a really interesting way. I mean, yes, there's a lot of business conversation here, but we're looking at it from a communications perspective. So, what is this restaurant not doing, and what can it do better for more people to come to their restaurant, right? So once you start doing that, then you need to put together what we call a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I have two documents under modules, which you can click and open up and see how you do the SWOT. So once you're doing all this research, then you can look at SWOT and look at SWOT again in a communications perspective. So the two documents that I have listed for you under modules actually give you examples and how to look at something from a communications perspective. So please spend some time on it and learn how that's done before you put together the SWOT. Okay, let's move on to the next section, and that's campaign goal. Like I said, your campaign goal has to have a business perspective. So increase foot traffic to Healthy Bite location by 20% within 6 months, right? So they have one location, and you want the traffic to grow by 20%, right? So it is a business goal, absolutely. But now we want to figure out how can we help this business by putting together a communication plan and bringing people into their restaurant. So, as a PR professional, you really need to come up with two strategies here. That's what I'm asking you to do. Come up with two strategies. Now, you might be thinking, what's a strategy? How do I go about it, right? So, I've given you some examples. If you could consider strategic partnerships and collaborations with other businesses, you could figure out ways to get the community more engaged. You can ask yourself to, how do I maybe get a newspaper or a blogger to cover this restaurant so more people would know about it. You could find a way to strengthen its online presence that, at this point is slightly weaker, right? So I'm giving you ideas. These are strategies, and I don't want you to get confused between strategies and tactics. So I'm actually telling you to pull the camera back and think about your strategies from a broader perspective. Now, what you need to do is come up with two strategies. So you can use some from what you're seeing here, or you can come up with your own. But keep in mind that you're looking at broader ideas, and then within those broader ideas, you've got to figure out how to execute those ideas, and that's what, the nuts and bolts of the campaign, and that's what we call tactics. So let's talk about what a tactic would look like. So your tactic is, you really want to think about this. Why did I choose, this tactic for this particular strategy? What is the point of that tactic? What audience am I trying to reach, and how am I going to accomplish that tactic? And when you're writing out your tactics and describing what you want to do, you want to really, answer those questions in detail. So describe what it is that you think you want to do. And then you want to actually produce that tactic, right? So let's say you decide that I'd like to think of doing media outreach. Okay, so let's say that's your strategy. Then one of those tactics would be, I'm going to put together a press release to talk about this really cool, special that we're doing, which has very unique flavors, and we're bringing in really interesting ingredients from Southeast Asia, and we're going to have a special 1 week event with a guest chef who will be preparing his or her cool best Michelin level items, and so we would like the media to come and experience it and also tell other people about it. So we're going to put together a media outreach program, right? So the media outreach, so we're going to do a press release eventually that's going to talk about that. So your tactic is a press release, but your strategy is a media outreach program. So I hope you're understanding the difference of what that tactic would look like and what a strategy is. So I'll give you another example, right? Let's say your strategy here is enhancing online presence. Okay, that's your strategy, that I want to find a way to strengthen the online presence of this restaurant. Then your tactic would probably be maybe social media related, that I'm going to find a way to grow my follower base and the engagement on social media. And so you would come up with like influencer collabs and things like that, which would be more tactics, right? But so your strategy is, I'm going to focus on growing my online presence, and then you want to come up with tactics that kind of support that. So the way you want to do it is, for each strategy, you want to come up with 3 tactics. So let's say you've decided on online presence, right? Then finding ways to grow your follower database, you got to think about, okay, connecting with local influencers. That would be one strategy or one tactic. Just like that, you need to come up with 2 more tactics that support that strategy of yours, which talks about enhancing online presence. Okay, so same thing. If your strategy says strengthen local community engagement, then the 3 tactics that you're going to come up with should directly be connected to strengthening local community engagement, right? So the 3 different nuts and bolts of the campaign that you're going to do that support strengthening the local community engagement. Okay, so think about that as you put something together, and you need to actually produce these tactics, right? So, for example, if you decide that within media outreach, one of my tactics is writing a press release, then write the press release and show me what that would look like, right? If the other thing is to host a, like a media conference where you're bringing in media, like press conference, or an event where you're bringing in media who focus on food and travel and something like that. If you're bringing in a new chef, then get them to try the food. Like that's another tactic, and you want to really write down what that event would look like, who would be invited to that event, what kind of things will we showcase, what are our key messages that we'd like to share, right? So come up with very clear tactics in terms of how you plan to achieve this tactic, what's the point of it, what are the key messages you're trying to share, why you decided to do this one, and who are we trying to bring into the restaurant, and how, right? So think about all of these things as you start to put something together. So your hypothetical budget is about $25,000. Now, this is a big number for a small business. And so, don't come up with the flamboyant, ideas, because you can't achieve it. You have to come up with 6 produced tactics for $25,000. So definitely think about it. You could say, there'll be 2 things that I'll do, which will be splashes, right? Something big. And then the rest of it will be small. Or you could say, I'm going to spend equal amount of money for each of these tactics. And you tell me why, right? So think about, what's the best way to use this money through these 6 tactics. What's the best way? What's going to have the biggest impact? Okay, so definitely think about that. And in general, I'm a big fan of people numbering, labeling, bulleting, all of that. So the more formatted and easy to read your proposal is, the better I understand it, right? The better I'm able to see what you have in mind, how you visualized it. And when you put some graphical element, use Canva, canva.com. It's a free website, and you can easily create some stuff on it. You could throw a few things, play around with it. It's a great site. I mean, I use it for everything. I use it for all my videos. I use it for my Christmas cards that I put together. So I'm always using it. It's a great site. It's free. There's a video element. There's a photography element. There is a music element. You can do a lot of stuff with it. You can digitally manipulate stuff very easily, create your own little logo, put it in there, like whatever it takes to help me understand, where you're going with this idea. And you can put different texts and different font sizes and play around, colors, all of that. So remember, all the tactics that you create should have a color scent, which basically means they all need to look kind of the same, right, in terms of the colors. So it looks like it's part of the same campaign. So definitely pay attention to that as well. Okay, let's move on to the next section, and that is campaign evaluation. So let's say you've decided to do these 6 different tactics. Well, how are you going to measure success, right? Let's say you put a sweepstakes. Well, the way you would measure it is how many people actually sent in entries, right? That means that many people actually read something and cared enough and liked it, and read your message, right? And so think about things like that. Okay, so how many people came to my site, right? How many people clicked on this particular visual? There is a way to analyze everything, to measure everything. And, just go back to the chapter on evaluation where when I talked about that, see how it's done, and hypothetically just come up with the best way you would want to measure something like that. Okay, so again, I have a lot of little questions for you to think about as you start working on this thing, and I put them in there with a reason, and with a purpose in mind that hopefully it'll help you think through how you'd like to proceed. Okay, and at the very end, you see any additional research materials. If you did a survey, put it in there. If you actually had a questionnaire that you put together to ask a bunch of questions to the restaurant PR person, well, put the questions in there, put the answers in there. If you need data, put the data in there. Like anything that's going to help me understand how the work that went into putting together a proposal like that should definitely go in there. Okay. And then finally, this is what I did to help you. Okay, so this doesn't mean you see a bunch of dates here, right? This doesn't mean that I'm expecting you to turn in something to me on April 8th. No. What it means is you should plan to put this in your calendar and finish those sections based on those deadlines. If you're a planner, this will really help you. You'd love this, right? If you're not a planner, here's where you start. Here's where you start. If you don't follow these deadlines, you will 100% be left behind. You will 100% be overwhelmed by the end of it. Believe me, I've done this too many times, so I know. So this week, hopefully, you would review this document since, you've just received that document. You've just received the assignment. You should stop by my virtual office hours whenever you need. And you must try to complete some of these sections based on the week. So please make a note of it. And by the time you are, it's the end of the semester and you have that final report due, you should be 100% ready to go. I'm happy to look at your progress So come stop by Virtual Hours, please, every Friday. And I'll do what I can to help you. Okay, so that's that. Hopefully you get a good understanding of this particular proposal and what you're supposed to do. Okay, thank you.